Lyra gazed out of the observation window of the shuttle, her eyes tracing the rolling green landscapes of Orion 7. From above, the planet looked like a giant emerald floating in space, dotted with glimmering cities and winding rivers. She had traveled light years from her home world in the Orion Collective, assigned as an anthropologist to study human colonies across the galaxy. Orion 7 was a promising settlement, one of the first planets where humans and aliens lived together. Lyra had heard stories of its beauty, but nothing prepared her for the sight of it in person. The shuttle landed smoothly at the main colony hub. The airlock hissed and she stepped out onto the soft, spongy soil of the alien world. The scent was different, sweet and earthy with hints of minerals she had never smelled before. Around her, colonists moved about. Some human, some beings with multiple limbs, glowing skin or eyes that reflected the sunlight in unusual ways. Lyra's attention was drawn to a man standing quietly near the entrance of a small terraforming unit. He was unlike anyone she had seen. Ethan, a human from Earth, seemed so ordinary in appearance, medium height, brown hair, calm eyes. But there was something about his posture that suggested quiet confidence. He wasn't talking, laughing, or drawing attention. He simply watched as the workers carried out their tasks. Lyra approached him cautiously. "Hello," she said, smiling. "I'm Lyra. I'm here to study the colony." Ethan looked at her briefly, a faint smile crossing his face. "I'm Ethan," he said in a voice that was soft but steady. "Welcome to Orion 7. Their conversation was brief, but Lyra noticed the careful way he chose his words. He listened more than he spoke, but when he spoke, his words made sense. Something about his calm presence felt grounding. The bustling activity of the colony seemed to slow down when he moved through it. Lyra spent the next few days exploring the settlement. She visited research labs, studied the alien flora in the surrounding forests, and observed human colonists interacting with their neighbors. She noticed Ethan frequently, though he remained quiet, performing his duties with precision. He worked with the terraforming machines, adjusted their settings, and moved heavy equipment effortlessly. Lyra found it strange how unassuming he looked while performing such demanding work. Other humans struggled with the machines, but Ethan made it appear simple. One evening, the colony held a festival to celebrate the successful expansion of their agricultural zones. Lanterns glowed in the alien night, casting soft light on smiling faces. Music from a variety of species filled the air, blending instruments in ways Lyra had never imagined. She wandered through the crowd, absorbing the energy and color. She found Ethan standing quietly on the edge of the festivities, observing rather than participating. Lyra walked up to him. "You never dance?" she asked teasingly. Ethan shook his head. "I prefer watching," he said. "There is beauty in observing patterns. In music and movement," Lyra laughed softly. "That is an unusual perspective." Before he could answer, a sudden alarm rang through the colony. Red lights flashed. A chemical leak had occurred in the terraforming lab. Panic spread quickly and colonists rushed toward the scene, unsure of what to do. Lyra froze, unsure whether to help or get out of the way. Then she saw Ethan move. He didn't panic, didn't shout. He ran toward the leak, analyzing the situation in seconds. With swift, precise movements, he adjusted valves, redirected pressure, and contained the dangerous chemicals. Sparks flew, alarms blared, but Ethan's actions stopped the situation from becoming a disaster. When it was over, the colonists cheered, but Ethan simply walked back to the edge of the crowd as if nothing had happened. Lyra approached him, her heart still racing. That was incredible," she said. "How did you do all of that so quickly?" Ethan smiled faintly. "Practice, observation, and understanding how the machines work. Calm thinking is more useful than panic." Lyra studied him, realizing that there was far more to this quiet man than met the eye. Most humans on Orion 7 were respected for their ingenuity, but Ethan's abilities went beyond ordinary skill. She couldn't yet put her finger on it, but she felt that he held a secret, something extraordinary hidden behind his calm exterior. Over the next week, Lyra spent more time with Ethan, asking questions about his life on Earth and his experiences on Orion 7. He spoke little of his past, revealing only fragments: a childhood in a quiet town, a fascination with machines, a desire to explore worlds beyond Earth. He seemed normal, yet she couldn't shake the feeling that his simplicity was a mask. One morning, she followed him as he walked along the edge of the forest. The morning fog hung low, and the alien plants glistened with dew. He stopped at a small clearing and began examining a cluster of strange bioluminescent plants. Lyra watched as he gently touched the leaves, checking their strength, flexibility, and growth patterns. Then he pulled a small device from his pocket and began measuring their chemical composition. Lyra stepped forward. "You seem unusually skilled. You handle these machines and plants like they were simple toys, but I've seen others struggle for hours with far less." Ethan looked at her and shrugged. "I enjoy understanding how things work. It is a matter of patience and focus." Lyra smiled, feeling a strange admiration. "I feel like there is more to you than you let on." Ethan's eyes met hers briefly, and for a moment he said nothing. Then he replied quietly, "Perhaps, but some things are better discovered than explained." The day passed, and as the sun set behind the towering crystal spires of the colony, Lyra couldn't help but feel that she had only seen a glimpse of what Ethan was capable of. There was a depth to him, a calm power that seemed to resonate with the world around him. She felt both curious and cautious, wondering what it would take for him to truly reveal himself. That night, as she wrote in her journal, Lyra reflected on the festival, the chemical leak, and Ethan's quiet competence. Humans were often underestimated by other species, regarded as fragile or insignificant in the vast galaxy. Yet here was a man who defied that assumption without boasting, without drawing attention. She felt a surge of excitement mixed with apprehension. Orion 7 was a beautiful planet, but it was also unpredictable. Lyra knew that this new life among humans and aliens would challenge her in ways she could not yet foresee. And at the center of it all was Ethan, the quiet man from Earth, whose true nature remained a mystery. As she drifted to sleep in her small quarters, the soft hum of the colony around her, Lyra felt a sense of anticipation. Something significant was about to happen, she could feel it. And when it did, she suspected that Ethan would be at the heart of it. The days after the festival passed quietly, yet Lyra could not shake the memory of Ethan's calm efficiency. She watched him from a distance as he moved through the colony, blending into the daily activities, helping humans and aliens alike. Every task he took on seemed effortless, whether it was repairing machinery, analyzing alien plants, or coordinating the movements of multiple workers. But what intrigued Lyra most was not only his skill, it was the way he did it without a single word of complaint, without a show of force. Lyra began spending more time around him under the guise of her anthropological research. She asked him to show her the terraforming machinery, to explain how he handled certain repairs. Ethan's explanations were simple, almost casual, yet precise. He could anticipate problems before they occurred, noticing tiny details that no one else could see. One afternoon, while they were walking through a dense part of the forest near the colony, Lyra noticed something unusual. A fallen tree blocked the path large enough to stop even a small vehicle. 2 colonists had been trying to move it for hours without success. Without hesitation, Ethan stepped forward, gripping the trunk. In a single, smooth motion, he lifted the massive tree and set it aside as if it weighed nothing. Lyra's jaw dropped. How is that possible?" she asked, half in awe. Ethan looked at her calmly. "Humans are stronger than they appear. Sometimes people simply underestimate what they can do." Lyra realized that his abilities were not just physical. There was a quiet intelligence behind his actions, a clarity of thought that allowed him to adapt instantly. When the colonists struggled with the alien wildlife or mechanical problems, Ethan always seemed to know exactly what to do. And yet he never boasted, never sought recognition. The colony's social gatherings offered more clues to Ethan's unique nature. At a dinner in the central hall, Lyra noticed him speaking briefly with a group of aliens who were discussing the behavior of local predators. He listened carefully, nodding, then responded with a few words in their language. To Lyra's astonishment, the aliens relaxed immediately, as if Ethan's tone carried an understanding they had not expected. Later, Lyra asked him about it. "You spoke their language?" "Perfectly. How did you learn that so quickly?" Ethan's expression remained neutral. "Observation and listening. Every language has patterns. Humans are good at recognizing patterns." Lyra realized that Ethan's skills went beyond physical strength. He had a mental sharpness and emotional intelligence that allowed him to connect with creatures, machines, and people alike. It was as though he could understand the essence of anything he touched. But it was not just abilities that caught her attention. It was his reaction to danger. One morning, while the colony conducted a routine survey of the surrounding forests, a group of young colonists accidentally disturbed a nest of alien creatures with thick, spiny shells and sharp claws. The creatures charged at the humans, hissing and clicking and warning. Panic erupted. Lyra froze, unsure what to do. Others began retreating, but Ethan moved calmly toward the creatures. He did not shout, he did not swing a weapon. Instead, he observed their movements, understood their behavior, and gradually guided them back into the forest using hand signals and soothing words in a language Lyra could barely recognize. Within moments, the creatures were gone, leaving the colonists unharmed. Lyra's astonishment was growing by the day. She could see now that Ethan's quietness was not weakness, it was control, patience, and confidence. The more she observed him, the more she understood that he possessed a combination of mental, physical, and emotional strength far beyond what most colonists could comprehend. Even the other humans seemed to notice it subconsciously. During work assignments, Ethan was often sought after when a task required more than brute strength or knowledge alone. He could manage machinery, mediate disputes, and guide alien workers with ease. And yet he remained quiet, always letting others take credit when necessary. Lyra found herself wondering if humans had always possessed this hidden potential, and if Earth was secretly a world full of quiet strength, waiting to be revealed to the galaxy. The growing tension in the colony provided another test of Ethan's abilities. Not all the species living on Orion 7 were friendly. Some alien factions underestimated humans, viewing them as weak and easy to manipulate. Arguments over resources became frequent. Small skirmishes broke out, not with weapons, but with intimidation and clever tricks to claim territory or supplies. During one such incident, a group of aliens cornered a team of human workers near a resource depot. They blocked the exits and attempted to intimidate them into surrender. The humans were panicking, unsure what to do when Ethan arrived. He did not shout or attack. He calmly assessed the situation, positioning himself between the aliens and the humans. With precise movements and sharp observation, he guided the humans out of danger, while simultaneously creating a distraction that allowed the aliens to retreat without a direct confrontation. Lyra watched completely in awe. She could hardly believe what she was witnessing. While others saw humans as weak and easy to manipulate, Ethan proved that their true strength was subtle, clever, and unpredictable. Over the next few days, Lyra's curiosity turned into admiration. She spent hours observing him, writing notes in her journal. Humans may be underestimated, she wrote, but with focus, patience, and courage, they are capable of remarkable things. Ethan is proof of this hidden potential. At night, she would watch the stars from her quarters, thinking about Ethan's quiet heroism. He had not sought recognition, had not flaunted his strength or intellect. And yet the colony functioned more smoothly because of him. The humans began to stand taller, inspired quietly by his actions. Even some alien colonists started showing signs of respect, subtle nods or gestures when he passed by. Lyra realized that what she was witnessing was more than a collection of skills. It was a lesson in humanity. In a galaxy where species often relied on brute force or advanced technology, humans like Ethan showed that intelligence, patience, and courage could accomplish extraordinary results. The turning point came when a sudden storm struck the colony. Winds howled and heavy rain flooded low-lying areas. Machinery began to fail, and the alien plants in the agricultural zones were at risk of being destroyed. Colonists scrambled to protect their crops and equipment, but the situation was chaotic. Ethan moved calmly, organizing teams, reinforcing structures, and redirecting water flow to prevent damage. He coordinated humans and aliens alike, using his knowledge, patience, and observation to solve problems as they arose. Lyra followed him, helping where she could, but she noticed that the colony's success depended largely on Ethan's quiet leadership. By the time the storm passed, minimal damage had occurred. The colonists were amazed, not just at the lack of destruction, but at the fact that a single man's calm and intelligence had guided everyone to safety. Whispers spread through the settlement about Ethan's abilities, though he remained modest, brushing off the attention with simple explanations about focus and teamwork. That night, as the colony celebrated the storm's passing, Lyra found herself walking beside him once again. You're not like other humans I've met," she said softly. "You have strength, intelligence, and patience beyond what anyone expects." Ethan's eyes met hers. Humans are often underestimated, he said simply. But we have the capacity to rise to challenges when needed. Quiet strength can be more powerful than force or noise. Lyra nodded, realizing the truth of his words. She had come to Orion 7 expecting to observe humans as ordinary colonists. Instead, she had found someone extraordinary, and she suspected that Ethan was only the beginning of what humanity could offer the galaxy. For the first time, Lyra understood that the quiet man from Earth was more than just a skilled engineer or a capable worker. He was a symbol of the hidden potential of his species, an example of courage, intelligence, and resilience that could inspire both humans and aliens alike. She felt a mix of admiration, curiosity, and anticipation. There was more to Ethan than met the eye, and she was determined to witness it all. As she returned to her quarters that night, the stars glimmering above the alien forests, Lyra wrote in her journal, "Ethan shows me that humans are not weak. They are clever, adaptable, and patient, and sometimes the quietest among them hold the greatest power. I wonder, what will happen when the galaxy finally realizes what humans are truly capable of?" Lyra fell asleep with a sense of excitement and anticipation. Ethan's presence had already begun to change the colony in subtle ways, and she knew deep down that this was only the beginning of humanity's story on Orion 7. The calm of Orion 7 was shattered one morning when distant alarm signals blared across the colony. Lyra was in her quarters when the first warnings came through. Multiple sensors had detected unauthorized ships entering the planet's orbit. Panic rippled through the settlement as colonists scrambled to understand what was happening. Ethan was already on his feet. He moved swiftly, yet without urgency, his calm demeanor a stark contrast to the chaos around him. Lyra watched as he stepped outside, assessing the incoming fleet with a practiced eye. The ships were unlike any he had encountered before, sleek, dark, and armed with weapons that could easily destroy a human settlement if they fired. "They're called the Vrick," one of the alien liaison officers said breathlessly. "A rogue species. They raid settlements for resources. We cannot stop them with force alone." Ethan's eyes narrowed, but he said nothing. Instead, he walked toward the command center, Lyra following closely. His movements were purposeful, precise, as though he had faced similar threats before. Inside the command center, alarms flashed across the walls, showing the positions of the Vrick ships. The colony's defenses were minimal, a few laser turrets and shield generators that might hold for a short time, but not long against such a fleet. The colonists were panicking, unsure what to do. Ethan stepped forward, his quiet voice cutting through the fear. "Calm yourselves. Panic will not help. We need a plan, and it must be executed immediately." Lyra felt a shiver of awe. His voice was soft yet commanding. The colonists instinctively began to listen. Ethan moved through the control panels with ease, quickly analyzing the fleet's positions and weapon ranges. He coordinated with the alien officers, giving precise instructions that balanced offense and defense. His understanding of strategy was remarkable. He anticipated moves before they happened, predicting the Vrick's likely attacks and positioning defenses accordingly. "Divert power to the shields here," he said, pointing to a weak section of the colony perimeter. "Coordinate with the mining drones, use them as obstacles. Humans and aliens work together. Do not hesitate." Lyra followed him as he moved among the colonists, guiding teams, adjusting tactics, and giving reassurance. Every decision he made was thoughtful, efficient, and effective. She could see now that Ethan was not just skilled, he was extraordinary. The first wave of Vrick fighters approached the colony. They fired energy pulses that struck the shields, sending sparks and shockwaves through the settlement. Colonists ducked and shouted, but Ethan remained calm. He adjusted the shield frequencies, redirected drone positions, and coordinated countermeasures that minimized damage. Lyra watched as he leapt over broken machinery to reach a damaged control panel. In seconds, he had repaired it, rerouting power to the shields just as another pulse struck. His reflexes were almost inhuman, yet he moved with precision and grace, ensuring that no one around him was harmed. The Vrick seemed to underestimate him. They targeted the colony with the expectation that humans were weak and disorganized, but Ethan's calm leadership turned their attacks into failures. Turrets fired accurately, drones blocked assault paths, and colonists followed his orders flawlessly. Lyra could hardly keep up with everything happening at once. Machines whirred, alarms screamed, and creatures from the surrounding forest fled in confusion. Amid the chaos, Ethan's presence was a constant, a steadying force that held the colony together. After the initial assault, the Vrick regrouped for a larger attack. This time, more ships came faster and heavier. The colonists were exhausted, but Ethan did not falter. He moved from station to station, coordinating defenses, calming fear, and inspiring courage. What is he? One of the alien officers whispered to Lyra. He is not like the other humans I have seen. He anticipates, predicts, controls. Lyra shook her head, still in awe. I think he shows what humans can truly be. We may seem weak, but under pressure, we rise. Ethan's calm was tested further when a group of Vrick fighters breached the colony's perimeter. They targeted civilian areas, aiming to sow fear. Without hesitation, Ethan sprang into action. He led a small team, moving swiftly and silently through the shadows, guiding colonists to safety while intercepting the attackers. The battle was intense, but Ethan's tactics were flawless. He used minimal force, relying on agility, strategy, and careful timing rather than brute strength alone. The Vrick were confused. They expected humans to flee or fight blindly. Instead, they faced a coordinated, intelligent resistance. Lyra realized something she had suspected for days. Ethan was not just strong or skilled. He possessed the qualities that made humans formidable when underestimated. Courage, intelligence, patience, and adaptability, all combined into a single, quiet force. After hours of relentless fighting, the Vrick began to retreat. Their ships withdrew from orbit, damaged and outmaneuvered. The colony had survived. Damage was minimal considering the scale of the assault. Colonists cheered, tears in their eyes as they began to rebuild and repair. Lyra approached Ethan, her notebook clutched tightly. That was incredible. You saved the colony. Ethan looked at her, calm as ever. We saved it together. Every human, every alien who followed instructions. Every life mattered. Lyra's admiration grew deeper. She had thought humans were ordinary, fragile, insignificant. But here, in the midst of chaos and danger, she had seen their potential, and Ethan embodied it perfectly. He had proven that quiet intelligence and calm determination could surpass even the most technologically advanced threats. That evening, as the sun set behind the crystal spires of the colony, Lyra and Ethan walked through the damaged streets. Humans and aliens were working side by side, repairing structures and clearing debris. Children played cautiously among the ruins, laughter returning to the settlement. Lyra finally asked the question that had been on her mind since she arrived. Ethan, how do you do it? How are you so capable of everything? Machines, strategy, even handling those Vrick attackers. Ethan paused, looking at the stars beginning to appear above the horizon. Humans are underestimated, he said quietly. We are told we are fragile, weak, insignificant. But when challenged, we rise. We adapt, we endure. I have learned to focus, to observe, to remain calm. That is all. The rest comes from the will to protect those around me. Lyra nodded slowly. She understood. Ethan's strength was not just physical or intellectual. It was the embodiment of the human spirit itself. Courage, ingenuity, and patience. The qualities that made humans a force to be reckoned with, even in a galaxy that often overlooked them. As night fell, Lyra watched Ethan disappear into the colony, walking among the people he had saved. She realized that the quiet man from Earth was not just extraordinary. He was a symbol of what humanity could become when pushed to its limits. And she knew that his story was only beginning. She returned to her quarters, writing feverishly in her journal. Ethan has shown me the truth. Humans are not weak. We have patience, courage, and intelligence that can face any threat. Quiet, unassuming, and underestimated, yet unstoppable when it matters. I have witnessed what humans can truly do. Lyra lay in bed that night, listening to the soft hum of the repaired colony. The stars of Orion 7 shone brightly above, reflecting the hope and determination of those who had survived. And somewhere out among the buildings and lights, Ethan moved quietly, preparing for whatever challenge might come next. For Lyra, the revelation was clear. Humanity, even in its simplest form, was capable of greatness. And Ethan, the quiet man from Earth, was living proof. After the Vrick attack, the colony slowly returned to its rhythm. Repairs were underway, crops replanted, and machinery rebuilt. But a quiet change had settled over Orion 7. Humans, once underestimated by many alien settlers, were beginning to earn respect. Whispers of Ethan's abilities circulated, though he never sought credit. Lyra walked through the central hub, observing teams of humans and aliens working side by side. The energy felt different, stronger, more coordinated. She spotted Ethan at the edge of the main plaza, guiding a group of alien engineers in repairing a damaged power generator. His calm authority commanded attention without a word, and even the most skeptical aliens followed his instructions. Lyra approached him cautiously. "You've changed the colony, Ethan. Not just by saving it, but by showing everyone that humans are capable." Ethan glanced at her and nodded. "Humans often underestimate themselves. When others doubt us, it gives us an opportunity to rise. The colony is stronger now because people trust one another, and trust is built through actions, not words." Lyra smiled, realizing the depth of his wisdom. She had observed many leaders across the galaxy, but few combined quiet authority with genuine humility. Ethan's influence was subtle yet profound. Over the next few weeks, Lyra and Ethan worked closely. She documented his techniques, his problem-solving methods, and the way he interacted with both humans and aliens. Every action he took seemed calculated yet effortless. He inspired humans to step into leadership roles, and even some alien settlers who had doubted them began seeking his advice. One morning, the colony council summoned Ethan. Alien leaders expressed concerns about the humans gaining influence. They feared that with growing confidence, humans might become a dominant force, upsetting the delicate balance of Orion 7. Ethan remained calm. "Humans do not seek domination," he said evenly. "We act to protect, to preserve, and to contribute. Power is earned through responsibility, not taken through force." Lyra watched the room. The alien leaders were visibly impressed. Ethan's quiet assurance carried weight beyond words. Slowly, the discussion shifted from fear to cooperation. The council agreed to allow humans to take on more responsibilities, while Ethan emphasized training, teamwork, and empathy. In the following days, Ethan began training the human colonists, focusing on practical skills: strategy, survival, engineering, and diplomacy. He encouraged them to observe, to plan, and to act with patience rather than aggression. Lyra assisted, learning alongside the colonists. It was inspiring to see humans rise to challenges, motivated not by fear but by capability. Meanwhile, Lyra's bond with Ethan deepened. She had admired him from the beginning, but now she understood him on a different level. His quiet strength was not just physical or mental, it was moral. He acted not for glory, but for the well-being of everyone. During one training exercise, Lyra asked him, "Do you ever worry that someone will misuse their power, or that humans might become arrogant?" Ethan shook his head. "Power is only meaningful when paired with responsibility. Humans have the capacity to make mistakes, yes, but they also have the ability to learn from them. That is why guidance is important. Leadership is not about dominating, it is about serving." Lyra realized that this principle was exactly what made him extraordinary. Humans were not inherently stronger or faster than other species, but with courage, intelligence, and empathy, they could achieve remarkable results. Ethan's actions embodied that truth. Yet not all alien factions were pleased with the rising influence of humans. Some older settlers plotted behind the scenes, seeking to undermine human leadership. Lyra discovered coded messages suggesting that certain alien groups were planning to manipulate trade agreements to disadvantage humans. When she shared this with Ethan, he simply nodded. "We will face challenges like this, but truth and integrity always reveal themselves in time. We must remain patient and focused." The test came sooner than expected. A trading delegation from a distant alien world arrived, seeking to negotiate resources. The delegation was dismissive of humans, openly treating them as insignificant. Tensions rose and the negotiations threatened to collapse. Ethan observed quietly, analyzing each representative's behavior, tone, and gestures. When the delegation raised objections, he responded with calm reasoning, presenting logical solutions that benefited both sides. He emphasized cooperation and mutual respect. Slowly, the delegates began to listen. Lyra watched in awe as Ethan guided the negotiation to a successful outcome. The delegation left with respect for the humans, and many alien colonists quietly celebrated their victory. It was a victory not through force, but through intelligence, strategy, and ethical conduct. That evening, as Lyra and Ethan walked through the newly repaired streets, she asked him, Do you think humans can really hold their own in a galaxy that doubts them at every turn? Ethan smiled faintly. Humans already do, quiet, underestimated, and capable of extraordinary things. It takes courage, patience, and cooperation, but when we rise together, no threat is too great. Lyra felt a surge of pride and hope. She realized that humans were beginning to prove themselves not only to aliens but to themselves. And at the center of this change was Ethan, the quiet man from Earth, whose hidden strengths had inspired an entire colony to believe in their potential. As night fell, Lyra wrote in her journal, "Ethan shows that humans are not only capable of survival but of leadership, intelligence, and moral courage. Quiet strength can inspire an entire community. I am beginning to understand the full power of humanity, and I know this is only the beginning." The following months brought both growth and tension to Orion 7. The colony had stabilized, but news of a distant empire intent on exploiting planets like Orion 7 began to spread. The humans, still underestimated by many alien civilizations, faced the possibility of a far greater threat than the Vrake. Lyra watched the colonists prepare. Humans trained, adapted, and coordinated with aliens under Ethan's guidance. The colony was no longer just a settlement. It had become a community united in purpose, ready for challenges. One morning, scouts reported the arrival of a massive fleet from the Zytrax Empire, a technologically advanced civilization that viewed humans as primitive and unworthy. Their ships were larger, more powerful, and bristling with weapons capable of obliterating the colony. Panic threatened to spread, but Ethan's presence calmed the settlers immediately. "We will face them together," he said calmly. "Fear will not win this battle. Intelligence, cooperation, and courage will." The humans, inspired by his quiet authority, stepped into leadership roles. Lyra observed as they coordinated defenses, managed supply lines, and reinforced key areas. Alien allies followed their example, respecting the humans' growing confidence. The first wave of Zytrax ships opened fire, energy pulses striking the colony's shields. Ethan moved quickly, analyzing weapon patterns, redirecting power, and positioning drones strategically. He coordinated with the human and alien forces, guiding them like a conductor leading an orchestra. Lyra witnessed humans taking calculated risks, solving problems creatively, and protecting one another with precision. Ethan was the catalyst, but the true strength was in the colony itself, a combination of human adaptability, intelligence, and courage. When a landing party of Zytrax troops tried to infiltrate the colony, Ethan led a counter-strategy. Humans and aliens worked together seamlessly, using tactics, terrain, and coordinated maneuvers to neutralize the threat without unnecessary casualties. Ethan's leadership ensured efficiency and safety. Amid the chaos, Lyra realized the truth. Humans, when underestimated and challenged, could achieve results that no one expected. Their creativity, patience, and courage allowed them to rise above the most powerful enemies, and Ethan embodied this principle perfectly. Hours passed and the battle continued. The Zytrax Empire's fleet began to falter, unable to anticipate the humans' ingenuity or coordinate against the unexpected strategies Ethan implemented. Colonists who once feared their own limitations now demonstrated extraordinary skill. Humans were no longer underestimated. They were unstoppable when united. By nightfall, the Zytrax withdrew. The colony had survived, largely unharmed. Humans and aliens alike celebrated their victory, not only over an external threat but also over the doubt that had once shadowed them. Lyra found Ethan standing quietly on a hill overlooking the colony. He had been calm throughout, directing the efforts, inspiring courage, and guiding strategy. You did it," she said softly. "The colony survived against impossible odds." Ethan shook his head. "We did it together. Humans, aliens, every life mattered. The victory was not mine alone. Courage, intelligence, and cooperation made this possible." Lyra smiled. She understood. The quiet man from Earth had not only shown what he could do, he had revealed the hidden potential of humanity. Humans were capable of greatness not through dominance but through ingenuity, adaptability, and moral courage. That night, Lyra wrote in her journal, "I have witnessed humanity unleashed. Quiet, underestimated, and unassuming, yet capable of extraordinary courage and intelligence. Ethan has shown that humans are a force of resilience and hope, a species the galaxy must never overlook. We are stronger than we realize, and now the universe knows it too." The colony rebuilt quickly after the battle. Humans assumed new responsibilities. Aliens who had doubted them now offered genuine respect, and Ethan continued to guide quietly, never seeking glory. Lyra felt proud to document their journey, knowing that this story would inspire future generations across the stars. Humans were no longer seen as fragile or insignificant. They were innovators, leaders, and protectors, and Ethan, the quiet man from Earth, had shown the galaxy what humans could truly do when underestimated, challenged, and united. Lyra watched him walk through the colony one last time before night fully fell. Calm, confident, and unassuming, he was the embodiment of the human spirit, a quiet hero who had revealed the extraordinary power within ordinary people. Orion 7 glimmered under the starlight, a testament to resilience, intelligence, and courage. And Lyra knew one thing for certain: the story of humans had only just begun.